Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show how to use hydrofield and hydroboat operator in thinking particles to populate bunch of boats onto the ocean and uh, so let's start it and simulate them. Okay, so I'm going to start with importing. Okay, so I will import just first boat now. Use default preset. Alright, and these are models provided from Tarin Camarena, and he requested this tutorial. So as you can see, he already animated these boats. I will set it to PAL, turn off real time, and let's set end time to 500 or something. Alright, and this is parent helper, and it is animated, as you can see, for like I don't know 1200 frames, and boat is linked to this helper. So let's import all the boats. Alright, so as you can see, all of these boats, and yeah, this fishing boat is one single object and it's not linked. We can make it to editable poly, and let's just pick material. Alright, so I will just assign standard material because I am not going to render this, and these all boats are animated here, but we are going to control boat motion with hydrobot operator in thinking particles. So first we need to manage this, and if we see in this single boat, pivot point is at the bottom of the boat, and that is absolutely fine. Alright, so I'm going to start selecting boat one by one. First this, I will convert it to editable poly. Okay, and I'm going to unlink and go to layer and create new layer from the selection. Let's call this layer boat 1. Alright, so if I am going to select child nodes now, you can see all those nodes are selected. I will just move it on side here. Okay, so what I need to do is need to make them into single object, this all. So I will select this first object which has pivot at the bottom, and what I will do, I will just attach multiple and select everything in boat 1 layer, and yes. Okay, so So this is now single object and it has multi sub object material. Okay, and let's do the same for the other boats. And we don't need this anymore, so we can just delete this helper. Okay, so let's do for shape 04. I will select all of this, click unlink, and let's go to this layer manager, create new layer. Let's call this boat 02. Alright, and what we will do, we will select first object which has pivot point at the bottom. It doesn't matter where is the pivot point, but we will adjust accordingly. Okay, so let's attach multiple. And let's move this here as well, and we can delete these link objects, helper objects. We don't need it, so let's just delete it. Okay, now let's do for this board 05. Select everything, unlink, go to layer manager. Let's create new layer. Let's call this board 03. And we will select this all and convert it to editable poly. So now let's just attach everything in board 3. Okay, so here pivot point is up, so I will just adjust it down something like this. Okay, and we have this boat. We can delete this helper, we don't need it anymore. So select this, everything except this helper object. Okay, unlink, go to layer, create new layer. We call this boat 04. Okay, and select object 00, object 01. Yeah, and attach multiple. Select everything. Okay, I will move pivot a little bit down. Okay, so we have these all boats now. Let's just move it here, and we don't need these helper objects anymore, so we will just delete them. Okay, so we have these 5 boats. Alright, and this 5th boat, so we will create new layer as well. We call this board 05. Okay, and Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5. Alright, so now let's create thinking particles and ocean plane geometry. So I will turn on default layer, and he has this TP hydrofield layer, so let's create that. So I will go to plane and create plane. Alright, one more thing that I'm working in system unit setup is set to 1 unit equal to 1 meter, and display is generic unit, so it will be meter unit. Alright, so let's just center this plane and let's make it 1000 meter by 1000 and 1000 segment. That is maximum segments you can use in 3D Studio Max plane as well as in Hydrofield node. And I will change color to something like bluish. Okay, now let's create thinking particles. So I'll turn off edit on the fly, and sampling, subsampling we will use per half frame. Generally with Hydrofield per frame gives very fast result and nice form looks, but per half frame will be good as well. And viewport to dots. Alright, so we call this port system. Let's create same for master dynamics. Okay, and here we create ocean for field, and we set it to something blue like this, and we create boats for collection of boats in groups, and we got 5 boats, so let's create 5 group. We call this one B1, we call this B2, we call this B3, four and 5. Right, and let's create particles for splash and form. So we call this splash, and let's change its color to green, and we call this form. Alright, so now let's bring these boats into thinking particles. So the way to do that, we will use layer to particle, because we already separated port in each layer. So first one will go to B1, so that will be BOT1 layer. Okay, and it's already instant, and we don't need to turn on any tracking because it's not animated. We are going to animate with Hydrobot node. So once these are imported, if I click on hide, As you can see, it hides original boats, as you can see from here. Alright, okay, so let's just duplicate this and we call this boat 2 and we call this boat 3, boat 4 and 5. Alright, and we can hide original boats. Okay, both need to so as you can see, it doesn't show here boat 2, it's boat 02, so our layer string is wrong. Okay, now it appears. And boat 03, okay, which is B3 group, we assign this particle to B3 group. And boat 04 and 5. Or you can also do, I guess, pretty much in same layer. I mean, you can keep all boats in same layer and add a node string, something like that. But no, it's not possible to. Yeah, it's not like object to particle. Okay, so we have got our boats into this thinking particle system, and now we need to move it boats like here in the starting position, and then we can just make them race or go forward. Okay, so one way to do is you can assign position node or particle data node and use point helper to reposition the boat, or you can use instant shape as well to populate multiple boats using position bound operator. But we are going to use Hydrobot, so for that we need group. So let's create just Hydrobot node first. So it's in flow Hydrobot. So as you can see, I can assign particle group to Hydrobot, so I can assign B1. Okay, so B1 group will have whatever particles it will be, it will act as boat, and it requires spline shape to drive the boat motion. So let's just create 5 splines. Alright, so let's so we created these 5 shapes now, so we can pick object here. Yeah, we can pick multiple objects as well. Let's just try with boats group itself to see if it populates, but yeah, we need to specify hydrofield. Okay, so let's create hydrofield node. I will save this file first. Alright, both same 01. Okay, so let's create hydrofield node. I will turn off this node and go to new dynamic set, and we will create flow hydrofield, and we will pick this plane object as field objects, and we can hide these plane objects. Okay, so now we need to see the density, and we assign field to ocean. So let's turn on these source cells, and we can see the cells, and you can turn on, yeah, so you can see cell is created for each face. So if I increase cells for dimension something like 100, and this cells count will increase as well, and this is what will detail our ocean waves. So I will keep 70 for the time being to create faster simulation, and I think it will work pretty much because it's not going to be close-up view. So I will turn off the source flares and turn on splash rigid collision as well. Okay, and so both trajectories we will use this later, not now. Alright, so if we turn on ocean, you will see this turn into ocean.
Oh my god.
And yeah, I will continue this tutorial in next part. I'm going to pause now. Okay, so yeah, we got the hydrofield node, and if I increase time scale value, ocean wave speed will increase as well. So you can see here it's moving. So I will just change the wind direction to minus 90 degree angle. So it moves in other direction, and our boat will travel. And let's also decrease wind speed to 12 to create small waves like this. Okay, and you can always increase detail here. So if I say 20 cells per dimension, it will be very low. If I go for 120, it will be little high, so I will go with 70 for the time being. Alright, and we can increase impulse grid to 3, so when boat will collide, it will create stronger waves. Okay, so now let's start with hydrofield node, hydrobot node, and let's just turn it on and see if it works. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, we need to specify hydrofield here. Yeah, you can see all 5 boats populated, and 2 boats are empty. So we need to specify hydrofield. So if I say 5 boats, 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 on each spline, and you can select this spline. You can click on initial align as well. So if you have initial position of the boat, it will, for example, if you specified initial position here for each boat, it will take that position. So for example, I'm going to create a position for boat 1. Okay, I need to select this relative here. Okay, so if you click on initial position and click on relative, you can specify position of each boat manually. So for this first boat, it's at origin, and I can also do like make -1 for z-axis, or -2, something like that. I will keep it 0. So you can see our boats are a little small than these waves. Maybe we can increase size a little bit. Okay, so I will just delete this position. Alright, and let's just increase size a little bit, scale, and I will increase just 10%, maybe 120. Same for the boat 2. Okay, and we can do the same for this boat as well. Alright, so let's keep this as it is. Okay, so we got these 4 splines, and each boat has different splines. So the way I can control this, if I turn off initial align, and then it will use spline starting point as okay, I need to make it absolute. So absolute will use starting point of spline as boat starting position. And if I play now, let's just increase unit per second for boat speed to something like 50, and let's just play it. So you see boat is not moving, so let's find out why it's not moving. And if we go to Hydrofield and turn on show boat trajectories, okay, it's not showing boat trajectories. Somehow it should show it, but yeah, let's try to change travel direction to -x. Okay, and let's see now. Still it's not moving. Let's try Y. Okay, let's go with one boat first now, and then we will deal with all other later. Okay, and I will set this to B1. Alright, so now let's see if it shows both trajectories. It should show both trajectory. V1 hydrofield mode. Okay, yeah, why it's not showing? We need to make rigid to boards here, and turn on include subgroups. Okay, now it's you can see boat is moving. So if I play now, I don't know why. Yeah, so as you can see, boat trajectory is showing here as well. So this line, so for the time being I will turn off ocean, and I will just see how it creates waves in the ocean surface. So as you can see, there is no waves, nothing, and no intersection is happening. That's because we haven't assigned any mass for the boat. And I will turn off this boat trajectory. Alright, so we find out that direction needs to be x. So if I select thinking particle nodes, so that's positive x travel direction. But if I select boat, yeah, we need to select local. Yeah, so local axis, it's positive x is reverse, so it should be negative x. Alright, so I set this to negative x. Okay, now let's play again. So as you can see, boat is moving now forward, and it's not a great idea to use high poly boats. You can just use low poly boat and then replace it with high poly version of the boat. But yeah, Hydrofield node is very fast, so you can use high poly node boat as well. So as you can see, there are no waves, and I will increase speed to 150 meter per second. Alright, and even if I play now, there is just no waves. Okay, so we need to assign mass to the boat, and so that will have to create waves. And I will download size as mass, set the value to 10, something like that. Okay, let's play now. Okay, still no waves, so there must be something wrong. Yeah, everything looks good. Let's see from left view. As you can see, our boat is almost floating, no intersection, so that's why it's not creating any waves. So we need to move the boat down in the position, and the way to do it, either you can move spline a little bit down, or what you can do is just turn on this initial align and type to relative. Alright, and we will create a helper node to position each boat. So we have our spline that created like this cross, so it will use as traveling part for boat. So I will just create point helper at first spline here. So I want first boat something like here. Alright, yeah, like this. Okay, and we need to bring in this helper So we create new group. Let's call this helpers. And we will create 5 point for each port. We call this first one 01, second 02, and 03, 04, 05. Okay, so just click on object to particle, it is helper. Okay, and assign it to 01. Okay, we don't need instant shape or object to particle. Alright, and yeah, in Hydrofield node, here in port we can define position, yeah, standard position node, and let's choose helper, and yeah, assign it. Okay, why it's not showing here? Okay, we need to use particle data, I think. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, so I figured we don't need to create any helper here like this, so we'll just remove it. What I did is just put particle data and expose position and use node helper and pick this point. Alright, so now we have this helper to control both position, as you can see here, and we need a little bit down. To have collision with surface. So as you can see, it starts to create waves already. So here we have our plane is here, so I will turn this off, and move it down like this. Yeah, okay, turn on hydrofield again. So as you can see, it creates wave here already. And if I will simulate now, so you can see it generates waves on the surface and creates really nice simulation splash waves in the ocean surface. So you can have multiple hydroboat nodes for each boat to control the speed, or I can just increase this variation. Maximum value is 1, so I will try something like 0.2. Okay, so if I move helper like this here on side, it is the same part as direction for the boat. Alright, so as you can see, we do not need these multiple splines as I put it here. Alright, so what I will do is just turn off particle system, hide other splines. We are not gonna use it. Okay, so this is our part for the boat, direction, traveling part, and let's select these two boats, all groups, and we need to create multiple helpers for each boat position. So I will just duplicate this point helper, not like this. Okay, copy 4 times. Right, so this will be a starting position for each. Okay, and yeah, so let's define it here. Okay, so we will just duplicate these two operators and this one as well. Alright, so second boat, let's assign different value, and so select 0.2 for second boat. We will do same for all other. Alright, so let's select these 3 nodes again, and you can use Ctrl Shift to copy all 3 together, but I am just using single mouse to do this, so I cannot press 2 keys at once on mouse. Okay, so our last boat is bigger, so we will use higher mass value for last boat, and 0.3 here. Alright, sign this, 0.4. Let's make mass something like 9. And last boat, which is fishing boat, and it's bigger in size, so alright. So this one we use something like 15 maybe, yeah. And yes, okay, let's turn on. Okay, so our different boat at different position, and let's turn off this hydrofield node and select our helper and reposition our boat. Okay, we can unhide our ocean geometry plane, so we can position better. Alright, this one. You can even turn on Hydroboat mode to make it faster. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, our fishing boats. So that's helper number 5, I guess. 0.5. Okay, and this one, yeah, it's very deep in ocean. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, and this one, yeah, I think it's already inside, as you can see. Yeah, it's intersecting with ocean geometry. So we select this plane and hide it again, and yes, we are done. So just turn on everything. Oh yes, we need to create forms and splash now, so save this, and why does it show invalid here? Oh yes, particle, not mass. Okay, you need to assign to particle, not mass, because we are not assigning mass value. Okay, so it shows valid here. Alright, so let's save again. Let's see. So all boats will move at pretty much same speed. Yeah, that boat is moving very weirdly. So maybe we need to do reset xform for some nodes, but let's just remove variation for the speed, and yeah, so as I removed variation, all boats moves at the same speed in same direction, and it looks good except boat number 3. That's probably because its transformation axis is wrong. So you can have different hydro boat for each boat, and you can have different speed for each boat, and you can add variation in speed as well, so boat will like jiggle on ocean surface. So let's do this. I will call this, let's just turn it off for now. Let's make this B1 and duplicate this one, B2, and this B3, and this one B4, and this one B5. So last one should move slowly, right? It's heavy boat. And let's play again. So let's correct this direction for this one, and we have chose -x, so maybe it's y direction. Yeah, it's going reverse, so it's positive y. Yeah, so boat 3 moves now as well. So let's decrease speed for last boat, and we make it factor 0.5. So it moves slowly, and you can change factor for, so let's say small one, this moves fast, factor 2, boat 2 moves at factor 1.5. let's make a small one, factor 3, two, boat 4 1.5, and boat 1 is 1, and last one is 0.5. So if we play now, each boat will have different speed, as you can see now, and the faster the boat, the more wave it creates, longer the waves. Okay, so I will save this again. Now let's create foam particle system. So what I will do, I will just turn on foam, and set foam group to foam, Alright, now we need also gravity for the particles, so let's create particles and force. Alright, let's use default gravity for now, and threshold let's try 0.05. Lifespan for 2 seconds. Oh, it creates foam already, as you can see here. So we need to increase maximum particles to create more foam particles. It's not looking great in this collision. So let's create lifespan 1. Buoyancy speed I will decrease. Friction let's try 8. Buoyancy speed 2.2 something, and let's turn on ocean as well. Right, and time scale we are using 3, so let's try 2. For slow moving waves let's try 3. Okay, and foam gravity let's try something like -7 meter per square second square. Alright, we have splash rigid collision as well, so this foam will collide with this boat geometry as well. We can decrease threshold to even more, like 0.01, and maximum particles let's try 10 million. This one is 1 million, 10 million. Alright, let's see. So it's creating. Okay, so so we need to do one thing here. We are going to simulate with Hydrobots, so we need to increase samples per second. So I'm working at 25 fps, so we will use 4 times samples, so 100 samples per second, or you can try with 75. And one more thing, that our boat is moving very fast, so let's just turn off. Let's work with this one boat only, boat first. So let's turn off Hydrobot for all other systems. Alright, and we are moving boat with unit per second. Instead let's do with boat length per second. So let's try with default 1 and see how it moves. So now it moves very slowly and nicely. So in 1 second it will travel to the length of boat size. So it creates nice trail here. Maybe we can try a little bit more speed, twice for boat length, and you can add some little bit variation, 0.2, and for the threshold for foam I am using 0.05. let's try 0.01, and buoyancy back to 1. So as you can see, now it creates more particles. Let's try force to -5. Keep in mind that I'm working at meter scale, and speed I will increase to something like 8 times per boat length. And let's see now. You can see here, and maybe I will decrease particle counts for more speed, because I am using only one boat for now. Let's just turn off all other boats, we don't need it. Okay, let's see now. So we will apply these pretty much same settings to other boats. So you can see the particle counts here, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, it's keep increasing. So if I turn off, it creates waves as well, so it's nice, it's working. Maybe gravity is a little bit very strong for particles, it's spreading too much. Let's try something like drops, flags. Okay, let's give it dots. So let's decrease gravity for particles. Let's try 2, -2, and things we can change here is let's remove this section, and viscosity, let's try 0.1, and we can turn on splash, but let's see foam first. Let's decrease lifespan to 0.3 just to see how it behaves. I mean, you don't see much of the pattern here because dots look very big in 3D Studio Max 2018, but in 16 you can easily see the pattern. One thing we can do is increase friction a little bit more high. Let's see if it makes any difference. No, nothing. Well, yeah, I mean, it will stick more to the waves, but we still have these isolated particles, so we need to do something with gravity. I think let's try -40, a little bit high, and see how it reacts. And friction, we set it to 4 again, 8, 4, whatever you would like. Let's say, and let's try 0.05 for the threshold. Yeah, so it will create less particles. Okay, so increasing gravity, you can see foam is traveling a little bit more fast, and it will create more pattern. So that's what we needed in gravity to travel along with waves. So increasing gravity for the foam solves the problem, and it creates pattern, as you can see here. If I zoom in, but again then we got so many isolated particles. Obviously you can use frost, and you can keep these single particles out of messing in frost, but as you can see, increasing gravity creates nice pattern for the foam. You can see collision is very high, and maybe we can turn off splash rigid collision, so it will not collide much with boat, and yeah, we will have less isolated particles. So now it looks much better. Let's see from side view. Yeah, So just turning this off splash rigid collision, and these foam particles doesn't collide with boat and it doesn't fly off the surface. So look at this, it creates really nice pattern. So this looks really nice, and here it leaves some gap because boat is traveling very fast, and it goes a little bit up in the air and then goes down into ocean again. So if you attach camera here and track the boat motion, you will see it very nicely. But you can see how it this foam travels along with waves here. Okay, let's create frost object, and okay, and in thinking particle groups, let's select foam only and decrease. And you can always increase particle counts. So this is how it looks, and you can always use zoom resistant mode, and randomize, and you can also increase this threshold to remove isolated particles. So I will just delete this first object, and we will increase particle counts a little bit more. But obviously our boat is moving very fast, as you can see here. I mean, just in 30 frames it traveled so much distance. So let's decrease our boat speed to like 1.5 to boat length. Alright, let's play again. So now we need to decrease foam threshold again to create more foam, but you can see it's working nice. Maybe we just increase a little bit more for the speed, and gravity, let's reduce it to -25 for the foam, and here let's decrease threshold to 0.01. Gravity is little bit more strong. So let's try again samples per subsampling to per frame, and let's see. because we turned off splash rigid collision, we can really use speed simulation. Yeah, I can try half frame. And let's decrease force again, something like -10. And in hydrofield, let's increase cells per dimension to 120. Okay, so you can see now it creates foam very accurately. uh, so this happens sometimes with hydrofield. And we need to increase samples per second for this. Okay, so default -10 value works better for foam. And you can use Phoenix FD physics foam helper to render out this foam as well. We also need to increase lifespan for the foam particles, but you can see the pattern here. As it travels further, foam travels along with waves. So maybe threshold is a little bit high. I will try 0.03, something like that. And maximum particles, we need to increase it once we use 5 boats. Lifespan, let's try 0.5. And you can also create map here and specify for part, so it will create foam map which you can apply on this ocean surface material to render foam as map along with ocean shader. But we are not going to do that. We are going to keep just foam particles separate. Okay, one thing we can do here is let's increase choppiness to 1, so it will create more foam pattern, which is what we want. So you can see here we increase threshold value 0.03 to create less foam particles, and more pattern is visible as we created less particles. Now we are done with foam, so let's create splash particles. we turn off foam here, and let's turn on splash, and we try pretty much same thing with splash. Let's start with threshold 0.03, speed to something like let's keep it 1 for now. Fan out is spread out angle for the splash particles. Let's keep it 0.1. Lifespan to 40 frames, and maximum particles, let's try 1 million, 10 lakhs, yeah. And interact with field, so these are different. So when splash particles will collide on this ocean surface, we can define impact to field, so it will create more ripples on the ocean surface. Let's try friction to 4, and filling, we don't need here filling. Filling is something like if you have created a hydrofield in something like whale or carp, you can make a particle falls down and fill up the surface, so it will move the surface more up in direction. You can check in example sims, comes with thinking particles for these settings, and kill threshold for killing the splash density. So let's try 0.01 to have some nice pattern. Increasing will delete more splash particles. So by default foam settings applies to splash settings as well. I mean, we can just copy these settings over this. So now if I increase impact to field something like 1, you will see more ripples on this surface. So let's try something very high value for impact to field 3. So you will see more deep wake here. But it will not be much visible because if I zoom in and our ocean geometry is not very dense there where splash collides, so it will not create much nice ripples there. I mean, it will not, it creates, but it's not visible. I can try a little bit more, something like 15. so it's taking time. Okay, it's not much of the effect here. Let's try mass factor for the foam a little bit more. Oh yes, you need to increase this impulse grid value to see its effect on the surface. So let's try 8 for impulse grid. Now if I will play, so impulse grid is as you increase this impulse grid value, uh, the wake impact wake depth will increase as well, as you can see here. If I increase this impulse grid to something like, let's set this to 0. If I increase this impulse grid to 20, you will see very deep wake. And it appears more like grid particles here. As you can see here, the depth of this wake, it increase as well, so this plays also a big role in this simulation. So you can see it creates more of like grid type particles, but at the end it creates nice pattern, but this wake depth is increased as well. So I will try something like 15, and you can keep the clamp impulse to 3, or if you lower the value, then it will clamp the impulse and doesn't create very deep wake. Let's try 10. So let's again increase this. I mean, we don't want splash to create any ripples, because this is going to move very fast and our ocean surface is not very much detailed, so we can ignore this for now and keep the impulse grid to 2. Okay, one thing we can try is remove this density kill for the splash particles. So we keep it 0 and we will see all the splash particles now, just like foam. So if you increase this impulse grid value, the generation, I mean the emission of splash or foam particles will not be very nice looking. I mean, it will start with very grid looking particles, and then as it travels it creates patterns. So maybe you do not need to use this much high value, you can try lower value, but let's see with this value first how it looks. Surely we can decrease it to something like 5 or 8, but yeah, 15 value looks good as well. Let's try 8, and this time we are going to turn on foam again. So 1 million for splash and 1 million for foam particles, and let's save this. Okay, now let's play. So now you see foam and splash both together, and it looks really nice now. I mean, you can see the pattern here. And you can read the particles count here, 90,000. Sure, we are going to increase a lot of for particle counts, maximum particle counts here, depending on the RAM you have. Now it's using like 8 GB of RAM. And let's see on side view, and that we do not have, yeah, we do not have any foam traveling very up. So this looks good. So we now can turn on all the boats and see how it looks. Alright, so let's turn off master dynamics, and we need to use these settings to boat length. Okay, so we turn this off. Let's try this 2.5. okay, boat 2, boat 3, let's try 2.3 boat length per second, and variation 2.1. here we can try variation 2.2. we are using scale factor 1, so let's try scale factor 1 here. Here 1 as well. Here scale factor 1, and 2.2 for boat length per second, maybe 1.5. and this one we will use just 1, and factor to 1, and variation to 0.1. here let's try 0.3 for variation, and you can also try on steering here. So if you increase steering, so boat will steer on right or left direction accordingly. Let's see now how it looks, all boats at once. Alright. Where are the boats? Because we turned off layers. Okay, so now all boats are visible and we can play. Save it. So obviously okay, so this is our follow position N key, and we increase key frames to 500. So let's move this keyframe to 500 frame. Yeah, something like this. So now let's see how it looks. So say in your scene, if it's going to start with already foams in the trailing trail of foam in the scene, and then probably you need to simulate boat from few frames before. So you can start your scene with 500 frame, and you can simulate 0 to 500 frame just to create trail of foam. Okay, so now let's see how it looks. So in final simulation, you probably don't need to use this very high resolution boat mesh. You can use any low poly mesh. So as you can see, our boat number 4 is not creating nice splash. Maybe we need to move it down a little bit. Okay, it's creating. So this will take very long, I think. Maybe 1 or 2 hours, or maybe 5 hours, I don't know. But you can use different foam particles for different boat, I think, or different hydrofield, and mask them in post. Obviously it's not a very good idea to use this huge surface and boat. Let's travel with that. I mean, it gives less possibility of details here. So what we can do, we can create one simple plane here and animate its position, and we can turn on this position tracking in hydrofield. So as the plane surface moves, it will move this plane as well. But yeah, you can experiment with that and all the masking. And ocean waves which thinking particle creates using hydrofield nodes, it's tileable. I mean, if you generate a small surface and create waves over it, and if you create a big plane and create waves over it, it will have same pattern of waves at the same position. Obviously you can see a wave is traveling very fast alongside of boat, and if you want to create just a trail behind, you can also create emitter here, and emitter emit particles on the ocean surface, and these ocean waves will create pattern of those particles like this. So let's try to decrease this spread. So let's start with this big boat here, and what we can do is turn off all other boats for now. So let's keep only fifth boat. Alright, and turn off hydroboat for all other. Okay, so in hydrofield I will turn off splash and foam as well. So I need to create just waves now and see how it moves. So we're starting to see wave here. So our boat is moving very slow, and wave is spreading. So if you want to limit this spread of wave, we can decrease wave speed to 0.2, 5, something like that, and let's see. Okay, so you can see the spread is decreased for the wave, and now it will create more trail behind the boat. So let's turn on foam and splash particles. One thing you can do is decrease gravity for the particles. So let's try something like -5 for the gravity, and let's see again now. And you can also decrease foam and ocean threshold to 0.01 to create more particles. So obviously we need to create more particles. So I will go to hydrofield node, and let's increase maximum particle counts to 10 million. Let's try 20 million. So 200 lakhs. Yeah. and same for the foam particles. And let's see how it looks. Obviously we need to decrease threshold. Let's decrease for foam particles, and let's increase the impulse grid back to 15 again to see. Yeah, obviously it doesn't look good because as we increase impulse grid, it creates more particles on grid, and it gives very grid type looks. So let's try with 3 value. So as you can see, our boat is intersecting with ocean, I think. No, it's good. So now it looks good, as you can see here. So I think we can use 1 frame per sample for fast simulation, because we are going to use less value for the impulse grid 3. It should work. Yeah, so now simulation will be very fast, and it will create very nice pattern at 1 subsample, 1 frame per sample, as you can see here. This is what I like for the hydrofield, because at 1 frame per sample it creates really nice pattern, and simulation goes very fast as well. So yeah, you shouldn't use impulse grid value more than 5 or 3, and always use 1 frame per sample for the hydrofield node. So you can see this nice pattern here. You can even try half frame per sample. And this already looks good. So let's try 0.01 for the splash threshold as well, and lifespan to 50, 2 seconds, and increase lifespan to 1 second for foam. Let's keep it 0.7. Alright, and what else we can do? Maybe wind speed to 8 to create smaller waves. Yeah, and let's increase cells per dimension to 150. As you can see, as I increase it, these foam particles and splash particles pattern detail decreases as well, I mean the size. So let's increase as much as we can, 200. Yeah, looks good, right? Let's try 180. Okay, and let's save this. So now simulation looks much better, and you can already see the trail behind. Now it started again. Let's see if we need to increase samples or not. Yeah, we need to increase samples, you can see here. So let's try per half frame. Yeah, it doesn't look good half frame as well. So let's go to back and let's switch back to 100 samples per second and see if we can get away with more. So now it looks very accurate, as you can see here. So 100 samples per second, and if I use 70 cells per dimension, you can see less particles. 90, I see more pattern. 120, I see more pattern and very accurate near to board surface. 150, 180. Yeah, so 180 looks much detailed and much better. So let's try to increase the impulse speed as well. See, yeah, as I increase, it starts to become very square. Let's try one. Let's try two. So let's use 3 for impulse speed. Yeah, so you can see it breaks pattern a little bit here. Okay, now let's play again. So now it will be slow because we are using 100 samples per frame. And we do not have those spikes. So if you want to use faster simulation, you can decrease cells per dimension value and use 1 frame per sample. Yeah, you can see now nice trail it creates behind boat, more of like those Phoenix FD simulation you see. And you can see the particle counts here. It's 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, and it will hit 1 million soon. So what I will do, I will just make this per frame subsampling, and next thing I can do is change the impulse grid to 1. Okay, and let's see if it doesn't create spikes. We can increase cells per dimension. Okay, it creates spikes, so let's decrease cells per dimension to 150. Okay, now it doesn't create. And impulse grid back to 3. I mean, this is not very accurate, but yeah, it will give faster simulation. Yeah, it creates spikes. Let's try 100. Yeah, very fast simulation, and no spikes. But wave travels very further from the board, so for the final simulation I will use a value like 200 cells per dimension and 100 samples per second. So this will be very slow simulation, but it will be very accurate. And probably you need to increase maximum particle counts, because yeah, we are using many boards here, and each board will create enough particles. So I will increase this to 500 lakhs 50 million for splash particles. Splash particles I will keep like 20 million, but yeah, we can decrease lifespan to 15 frames for the splash. Okay, so let's keep 20 million for each. Let's play again. So you can use different spline travel path for different board and different speed using different hydroboat node. This way you can control, or you can also use different surface plane for each boat and different hydrofield for each boat. So this looks good, and let's put final simulation. This already looks good. So now as you can see, it doesn't spread too much these foam particles, and it will leave nice trail behind boat and ship. Same here, and pretty much same here. So always use less impulse grid value, and you need to use good amount of uh, strength for the foam and splash particles for gravity to make them travel faster or slow on the surface. And hydroboat, and always use boat length per second for better speed control over boat speed. Okay, we didn't check the steering option, but if you turn on this steering, suppose for the first boat, if I set steering to positive, it will steer more on the right direction. As boat travels. And yeah, you can check this with single boat and less particle counts or no foam or splash particles. So let's put final simulation. And final simulation, one thing we need to keep in mind that when using hydrofield, you must and always put simulation cache into TPS format, not TPC format, because if you cache this master dynamics in TPC format, and if you scrub the timeline, if you jump to any frame, it will load all foam particles into memory, and it will take so much time in calculation to load just that frame. But with TPS format, it loads just instantly. So I'm going to cache record this simulation, and I will just save here on this boat. Alright, and always use this TPS for heavy geometry. That's what I learned from Edwin Brown. Okay, so let's see how much time it takes for simulation. So it shows 2 hours, 1 hour now. Okay, I will let it simulate for few frames, and we will see how it looks. So I'm just going to cancel the simulation, and we will see just 10 frames how it looks. Okay, so something is wrong with this boat. Okay, that was very strange on that boat. Let's try TPC format. I think it's something to do with materials. So probably you need to use object to particle when importing node, or you can assign material shape material node here and assign instant dead boat material here. But let's try TPC as well. So TPC case goes very fast, but TPS case was little bit slow. As you can see, TPC case now it shows 53 minutes, but with TPS it was like 2-3 hours. So now let's cancel. Yeah, so I'm not sure why this boat looks like this. That's something to do with material. Yeah, if I select material, it will show here this one. This looks blue. I don't know why. Oh, it crashed. and you can see the cache here. This one is 9 GB and this takes less space. Or 4 frames, and this was like 12 frames and 10 GB, so each frame was like 1 GB, and here 100 MB for each frame. So yeah, let's try TPC and see if that problem happens when you jump the time frame and it takes time to load. You can try TPS, but sure, TPC is better. So yeah, we didn't save last settings, so let's go back to those settings. 100 samples per frame, and for the Hydrobot we set it to 1, and Hydrofield we set it like 20 million each. 3 for impulse grid and force -5. Yeah, so let's turn on each port. And let's change. Yeah, it's already done. Alright, and let's change cells per dimension to 200. Okay, and splash lifespan to 25 or maybe 15, and foam 0.7. Yes, all looks good. Let's turn on. Okay, all boards are visible, and we can cache TPC, so let's just delete this. Alright, save this. And you can cache it. So before cache, let's just play it. So cache this in TPC format, and I hope you found this tutorial useful. I know it's very long and I'm going very slow, but I hope it's very useful to you. So you can populate as many boats as you want and control its position using node. Or even better, you can use position bound operator and populate port on surface randomly. But now you can see it creates very nice pattern of foam and splash. So it's multi-threaded sometimes using single core. But if you have Windows, then I'm sure it uses all cores. So you can see each boat and creates nice pattern. So if you want more spread of waves, you can just increase wave speed to 1 and wave will travel a little bit more onto ocean surface. So, and that's it. This is the tutorial and I hope it's useful. And you can also create a random shape spline part, something like more curve like this, and all boat will travel according to this spline part. So let's try that. What I will do is just select, remove this, pick this, select second one, remove this, pick this, third one, and let's keep last two go to straight. So let's turn on. So let's turn off foam and splash. So go to Hydrofield, decrease cells per dimension to 70 for the faster preview. And also let's make it per frame. So we are going to see these first three boats if it follows this shape or not. So we have relative option selected. So as you can see, this boat is now turning as we have selected relative option. If we had selected absolute, it will follow this part absolute. So now it turns like this, as you can see. And these two boats, it goes as it is according to spline one part. Now it's sliding here, this boat. And we do not have any bullet physics, so maybe this boat will intersect with each other. You see, it intersects because we didn't use any bullet physics. So now let's try absolute part. for first 3 boat and how it looks. So now you can see position is changed to spline starting point. Same will happen for second boat as well and third boat as well. So now it follows the spline part accordingly. So one thing you can do is let's make it relative and turn off initial align. Well, it doesn't make any difference. So if you need to use absolute you need to follow part perfectly, then you need to use this absolute option, so it will follow up both spline part properly and follow up with curve, and you can change this part position for each hydroboat on that particular part. So for example, if I set this to absolute and if I change part position to 25 initially, boat will be in halfway already. Okay, let's keep it 0. But yeah, this way you can control travel part of the boat, and so let's go back to spline 1. And we will put this final simulation, and that's it. I will save this file now. Okay, we need to turn on initial align, make sure it's on. Yeah, so this is the final file and I will upload this one. Let's turn back on cells per dimension to 200. Form and splash, and let's also make sampling to 100 samples per second. We changed it to per frame before. Okay, so now simulation will be very accurate. I will save this file and let's cache this simulation. So create new folder, call this pp cache, and we will save in TPC format because it's fast and taking less space. So let's call this boat master. And let it cache. So it shows 48 minutes. So I will stop now. So I hope you found this tutorial useful and have fun. Bye.